Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the real paradox that is the Bangladesh cricket team. Heading into the Asia Cup, the Tigers are kind of caught in this strange place between a history of shocking upsets and these persistent challenges that just keep holding them back from real glory. And that leads to the big question on every fan's mind, right? Can they finally do it? Can they finally grab that first Asia Cup title? They've been so close before, but as we're about to see, the road ahead looks especially steep this time around. In fact, most experts are predicting a very tough campaign for them. Reaching the final, it's become this familiar, almost heartbreaking story for Bangladesh. I mean, look at this. 2012, 2016, and then again in 2018, they fought their way to that last hurdle, only to fall short every single time. It's just become this pattern of so much promise without that ultimate prize. And here's the wild part. Despite making all those finals, they almost always enter these tournaments as the underdogs, a role they honestly seem to love. They have this incredible history of causing massive upsets. I mean, who can forget them knocking a powerhouse Indian team out of the 2007 tournament? It's that giant killing potential that makes them so exciting to watch. So where does that potential really come from? Well, if Bangladesh is going to make a deep run in this tournament, it's going to be on the back of their biggest strength, without a doubt, a truly formidable and impressively deep pace bowling attack.
And when we say deep, we mean it. Their depth and pace is just undeniable. You've got four genuine threats here, led by the veteran, Mustafa Rahman. And with 142 T20 international wickets, he's not just their leader, he is the second highest wicket taker in the team's entire history. That's some serious firepower right there.
But, and this seems to be the classic story with Bangladesh, for every major strength, there always seems to be an equally significant weakness. And these cracks in the armor could really be what undermines their whole Asia Cup campaign. And this really gets to the heart of their bowling paradox. On one hand, their pace unit is absolutely top tier, but on the other hand, their spin attack is, well, it's widely considered one of the weakest among the top contenders. And when you compare them to the quality spinners from their group rivals, Sri Lanka and Afghanistan, that gap becomes alarmingly clear. Okay, so this brings us from their bowling over to their batting, which unfortunately faces its own big set of challenges. Because, having a great bowling attack doesn't mean a thing if your batters can't put enough runs on the board to defend. Analysts point to this really clear danger zone for Bangladesh's batters. Their lineup just seems to get comfortable or maybe even maxes out in that 160 to 180 run range. And while that's respectable, in a modern high-octane T20 tournament, that's often just not going to cut it against teams that are easily clearing 200. But maybe the bigger problem is how they're scoring those runs. The whole team is just plagued by low strike rates, the speed of their scoring. Get this, only one player in the current squad, Pervez Hossein Iman, scores at what you'd call a modern T20 pace of over 130. That's a huge problem, and it seriously limits their ability to hit the gas when it really matters. And all this pressure to score big, and to score fast, it all seems to land squarely on the shoulders of one man, the captain, Lytton Doss. And you can absolutely see why he's so important. He's the captain, he's the third highest T20 run scorer in their history, he is the anchor of this batting lineup. The expectation for him to perform every single game is just immense. But this is where you get the dilemma. As cricket analyst Akash Chopper points out, this heavy reliance on one player is a total double-edged sword. When one player's performance is so critical to the team's success, it creates this really fragile structure that can just completely collapse in those high-pressure moments. So, okay, let's put it all together. When you weigh that formidable pace attack against the inconsistent spin, the low batting strike rates, and this huge over-reliance on one player, what's the most likely outcome for the Tigers in this Asia Cup? Well, the expert verdict is pretty sobering. Akash Chopra and a lot of other analysts are predicting that Bangladesh may not even make it out of their group into the Super 4 stage. The logic is that their rivals, Afghanistan and Sri Lanka, are simply better equipped and more balanced squads right now. So ultimately, it really comes down to these four major hurdles: a weak spin attack, an inability to score quickly, a real lack of batting depth, and this over-reliance on their captain. Look, overcoming just one of those is tough. Overcoming all four is going to require a monumental effort. So while all the data and the expert analysis seem to be pointing toward an early exit, you just can't forget their history as giant killers. So the question remains,
Will the statistics hold true and their roar be silenced? Or can this team of perennial underdogs defy the odds and finally rewrite their Asia Cup story? We're just going to have to watch and see.